do I identify and fix common technical SEO issues on my website?
Best way to do that is a tool. SEM Rush is a great audit tool. Screaming Frog is a great audit tool. Ahrefs has a good audit tool. You need an audit tool, basically, right? And these tools basically run through your website like a search engine would. They look at it, same standpoint. They go in and they spider your site. They go to your homepage. They look at the links on the homepage. They follow them to the next page. They go to those pages and follow the links on those pages to the next page. They just keep going through it. So if you have a blog, it'd be like with 1,000 posts in it, and each page says next, next, next. Well, they go each one. They follow each one, next, 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 and they go from there. And then most of these tools will have, these audit tools will list out the different things that could be done. Now, I would avoid the free stuff, okay? There are free ones out there that you can put in. Typically, those free ones are only going to show you what's wrong with the page that you input. And that's not really going to be helpful. You need to have a tool that will actually look at your entire website and tell you where there's broken links, where there's links to, I mean, I see things like, okay, this link is broken. It's not, it goes when it's not there. This is a redirection loop, meaning A is going to B, B is going to C, C is going back to A. So it just keeps going around in circles. You'll see things about non-secure. Maybe you have an old website and you have a link that's still pointing to HTTP instead of HTTPS. So it'll tell you things like that. It'll tell you if you have internal link issues. It can tell you if you've got issues with duplicate content, multiple missing content, like missing titles or too long a title, or missing descriptions, or duplicate descriptions, or duplicate title tags. Now, those things do need to be evaluated. I always say dealing with technical SEO is a lot like a detective. You are trying to figure out the case. What's going on? What's causing this? What's the problem? Many of these tools are helpful for this. Again, we use SEM Rush in-house for our clients. It's got a great audit tool. We use it a lot to fix issues and problems. And then we continue to run it to make sure that those problems go away. You're almost never going to get to 100% because sometimes they'll report an issue that isn't really a problem. They report errors, warnings, and notices in SEM Rush, right? Errors, yeah, you want to fix errors. Warnings, it's like, well, maybe you're right, maybe it's not. Maybe you want to fix, maybe it's okay if you don't. Notices are just, again, notifications. Something's going on. Are you okay with it? Is it meant to be this way? You might want to look into it. So you have to be a detective and get a look at, is this a problem? Is this going to cause an issue for my user? Is Google going to think that my site is broken or not user-friendly? Good example is if you go to a website and there's a lot of 404 errors, like a lot of broken links. Well, Google's going to look at that and go, wait a minute, this is kind of like a bad user experience. You ever been on a website where you click a link and it breaks, doesn't go anywhere, and then you go back and go to a different link and it's broken also? It gives you less trust. It makes you want to leave the website. You might not want to ever go back there again because you had a bad experience with it that time. So it's like, you've got to look at these things that are out there. We often use a couple of different tools, in fact. So we do SEM Rush, and then I'll also run Screaming Frog, because Screaming Frog also gives you access, but it gives me different ways to see things sometimes. Things like, which of my images are too large? Which of my images don't have an alt tag on them, which we need for SEO purposes and for ADA compliance we need. So we like to use a couple of different tools and make sure that both are kind of showing the approximate same level of wellness, of health, in essence. But it is an interesting thing. Sometimes like I said, you are a detective. You have to kind of figure out what's going on. Why is it doing this? I'll oftentimes, again, being in it as long as I've been in the business, I'll see something that has like error, and there's like 3,000 errors. You're like, oh crap, man, what's going on here? Like, oh my God, 3,000 errors. And it turns out that, there's one link, one URL that's like 1,000 of the issues. And then the other one's another URL, it's 1,000 of the issues. And like, okay, typically when I see stuff like that, probably in a menu item somewhere, right? Because the menu's on every page. So if there's one error in the menu, it's going to be on every single page of your website, right? And sure enough, you find where it is. Okay, there's the problem there in the menu. There's one in the footer. Fix that one too. And then you rerun it, and like 2,000 errors clear up out of like the 2,500 you had. Great, you made 2 changes but fixed 2,000 errors. So those are the kind of things that you have to be aware of, and have to be able to understand how to dig under the hood sometimes. Looking at what's not indexed, what is indexed, looking at canonical tags. Sometimes that can be a problem. Looking at your robots.txt file. We're going to have a whole thing on technical SEO coming up, and we'll have it in the membership probably in the next couple months. But we're going to be doing, I think, next week is going to be part 1 of a technical SEO meeting. We're going to cover some of these things, what to do, how to figure them out, how to look for them, and so on. Why it's important. So we're going to have two different part 1, part 2. This should be at least a couple hours worth of stuff on security and speed and canonical tags and core web vitals and robots.txt files and XML sitemaps and all the different kind of technical duplicate content, all the technical things that can kind of get in the way of the user experience and signal to Google that, hey, your site's got a problem. And we want to be able to fix those problems. So we're going to talk a lot about technical SEO over the next couple of months. So keep an eye out for that. And if you're in the membership, you'll be getting them as well.